I call it the wheel.
I don't think so. What does it do?
It rolls.
Yeah, so does a bagel, okay? A bagel you can eat. One of the worst ideas I've ever heard.
Brother David, behold, the fork. I got 10 forks right here, baby. Am I right?
My lord?
What is it?
A toilet, my lord.
A toilet? You expect this court to do its business inside? We're not animals. We go outside like humans.
It's coffee. It's new.
Oh, it's awful.
You don't like it?
I'm all jittery and feel like I got a big job coming on.
Hancock, you sign first.
No king! Gentlemen, have you taken leave of your senses?
The people shall have the right to vote.
Even the stupid ones?
Yes.
Stupid people vote?
Yes.
Edison, can I be honest with you? It stinks. Does your wife know what's going on here?
She knows I go to work.
You're wasting your time, and it's sad. You might as well put the dishes in the shower.
Hey, Catherine, what's cooking? We're putting a man on the moon.
Are you out of your mind? I can't even get tuna without celery. Nobody's gone to the moon, ever.
Why not?
It's too far. It's far. It's really far. It's far.
我々の未来はポータブルミュージックです。
バカかバカかわかるだろうわかるだろうわかるだろう
出ていけ。
見ないのか怖いんだバッタリがいつも言えるぞバッタリどこバッタリ
Like I was saying, it's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our session. I see the numbers have come flowing in. Welcome, folks, to 2023. I think it's going to be quite an exciting time. I think we're going to be seeing lots of changes, and I won't go into the detail as to what those changes are because I think we're already seeing them happening and going through the process. We are in 2023, first session of the year. You have seen Riaan there. We are bringing this to you under the banner of Center of Technology, our FEDSAS Center of Technology. We are going to be talking about Chat GPT, and we'll explain all those details, but I really want to go straight into the point and not take too much time and hand over to Riaan now, who's going to be introducing Kate and taking you through this very topical and very interesting times that we live in, folks. You can't say the world's a dull place. Riaan, over to you.
Thanks, Paul. Goedemiddag allemaal. Good afternoon, everybody. And also welcome to Kate. She'll be joining in a few seconds. I'm going to share a few slides and just talk through this little bit of a nightmare that I think is on everyone's lips. But let's make it a good dream rather than a nightmare. Just want to share my screen quickly so that we are in good shape to stay with the timeline as well as covering all the information that we get there. So the FEDSAS Center for Technology is hosting this. We're powered by Resolute Robotics, and it's FEDSAS 30-year anniversary this year. Just as a side note, I'm actually in the offices of Resolute Robotics. I had a meeting earlier, and I was amazed to hear how much they are using it for business processes and very interesting things. And we might just have a follow-up webinar on how Chat GPT has changed business in the education space. For many years, we've been saying the Center for Technology, ek klink seker soos 'n gebreekte plaat. We've got to learn as we live. Our living spaces has got to be reflected in the learning journey, in our school spaces, our environments, because life is expanding and accelerating very fast with development. And sometimes it seems like we might be sending learners to schools that are in a different era, and we're preparing them for jobs that might not exist when they finish school. You know that the grade ones of this year will end school, like I think 2035. By that time, what developments have taken place? So we've got to be cognizant of this. Every year we choose a theme, and based on the back of Jaco and myself traveling the country last year. Ons het lekker in al die provinsies gekuier, ons het met die mense gesels. And one of the big risks that we noticed was the fact that some schools have gone back from 2022 when we unmasked to 2019 and not harnessed the benefits of 2019 through 2022. And I chose a theme for the year, move the boundaries. Kom ons skuif die grense. And I was just about to reveal this, move the boundaries, when Chat GPT hit the headlines. I first saw it on CNN, big talk about that. I heard about it on 702, all the media, internet media, the print media, so to speak, are commenting about it. We can't stay abreast. The news that was in the news yesterday is now all because there's new news today. So I want to challenge schools as we think on the work of the Center for Technology. How do we expand our boundaries? How do we move our boundaries? I sent out a newsletter this week to say you can do one of three things. You can either move with the boundaries that are expanding for you. You can stand still and be behind by not going backwards. Or in some cases, you can go backwards because of fear. And that might happen as well. So Chat GPT, the topic for today, very interesting one. Don't know when last we had so many registrations for a topic, but it's in the news and it's challenging our boundaries. It's challenging our comfort zones and our thinking. And we'll talk about that. We've devised a few bullets here just as a house view. Wat dink FEDSAS hiervan? En vandag is nie die finale antwoord nie. Vandag is die begin van 'n gesprek. But we want to give guidance and open the discussion. And what we want to say is, guys, it's here. It's not going to go away. It's here. AI, machine learning, all these things are here. We can wish it away. We can wonder what's going to happen with us. But it is here. So how do we navigate these waters? In the education space, I think it's not a question of if we embrace it, but rather how we move with it and implement and use and get benefit from it at each school. And all schools won't be the same. There's no flat rate policy. There's no one size fits all with this. But it's a question of what is your context? How do we use this to our benefit rather than should we or should we not? I love the fact that there's a new awareness about technology. AI has been around for many years, many years. So we've had AI and machine learning and coding and robotics for many years. But suddenly it's on the news because it's challenging the way we live, and everyone has this heightened awareness. Ons is skielik akiet bewus van tegnologie wat ons lewe raak. En veral omdat dit ons kinders raak, wil ons meer weet daarvan. En ek dink dit gaan die gesprek verder sit. It puts the spotlight on something not so new. But it's a spotlight. It's not the newness. It's the spotlight that we can say, maybe we've kind of put our heads in the sand and forgotten about thinking about these things because we're really doing well with what we're doing. But we might be doing it with the wrong tools. We might be doing it with the wrong outcomes. Even at the DBE Lehotla the other day, it was so prevalent how many people were saying, man, we've got to embrace a little bit of going forward in this world that we're doing. So it's got the spotlight on the new, but it's not so new. And then it gives us material. Man, you can go to the braai, you can go to the staff room, you can go to a class and say, guys, we're talking about this. Everyone's having their own ideas and their similar similar thinkings and awareness about it. But what we want to try and do this year is to really create some sort of talking communities, professional communities where people say, let's talk about this together. What are you saying? This wasn't in the curriculum when I studied. There's no policy from DBE about this. The government doesn't even know about this. What are we going to do about this? And let's talk and debate and get to a better answer about this. And then the last question, Jaco and I discussed this morning. What is missing in this process? Let's not just throw out everything. The two things, number one, what we're doing now, is that really that successful? If something challenges what we're doing now, we want to defend what we're doing now with all our might. But maybe we're not as smart as we are. Maybe our results, we learned this morning that 18% of 10-year-olds in this country read with understanding and meaning. It's like, wow, we're not doing that great with the old tools. The second one is, where's the human edge? How can I make myself irreplaceable? How can I navigate this process and teach my children better? How can I live with values and ethics in this? And how can we use these tools for good? Yeah, I've got a little video from a teacher. I know that we've got quite a few teachers online today. The majority of our audience is school-based today. And Matthew Haynes is a teacher in Gauteng. He's a super innovative educator, a cat teacher. I call him a superhero. Let's learn, let's listen to what Matthew has to say about Chat GPT.
Hi there everybody, my name is Matthew Haynes. I am a computer applications technology teacher at Zaheti School, and I've been asked by Riaan just to give my take on Chat GPT and AI in education. Well guys, I think that AI in education is pretty much here to stay. It's not that it's anything new. We've been made aware of AI for many years. It's just that now it's becoming a lot more accessible and it's much easier for us to engage with the technology. Many more people are becoming aware of what it is capable of doing, and we can see that built into that capability is the ability to challenge us and make us rethink how and what we learn. I say it's not new because AI has actually been around since 1956. It was originally proposed in a conference in Dartmouth in the US, and we have seen the use of this technology portrayed in many books, science fiction novels, and Hollywood movies. Chat GPT is simply showing us what is possible and what technology is capable of allowing us to accomplish if we were able to fully explore the opportunities of engaging with the technology on an interactive level. I think it's going to be a wonderful disruptor for every career. I think particularly it's going to be a disruptor for education because it changes how we access information, how we perceive information, how we gather data, process that data, and then what do we do with it based on the data we've got. It also changes how we distinguish between what is useful and what is not, what is true and what is not. And I mean, and that's kind of what we should be doing pretty much all the time anyway. So personally, for me as a teacher and educator, I would focus on how we can use it as a tool. How can we use this new tool, ChatGPT, to enhance our teaching, to give our students skills to find information, to engage with information? You see, there might be other negatives which people are going to readily point out. They'll say, oh, you know, students are going to cheat and there's going to be plagiarism and all that. And yes, of course, there's going to be issues. Your lowest common denominator is always going to rise up or sink down, and it's going to use the tech for evil. But you know what? We have to look at the positive and how we can use the tech for good. So I think for teachers, it's time to buckle up because it's actually going to be a very interesting ride.
Very interesting ride. You can follow Matthew. You saw his details on his. All right, so I want to talk disruption, which is effectively what this process is that we're in. And I just want to reflect a little bit on the history of disruptions and just, you know, stuff that we're using every day. Maybe just to say that sketch was drawn by AI yesterday when I put it in, draw me a pencil sketch on the development of the wheel and the development of the computer. So this is a program called DALL-E, also by OpenAI, and a wonderful resource. And hopefully it's just me using it. Let me just get my click. So some of the disruptions that we've had, we saw the video in the beginning, and the wheel, the printing press, probably the biggest disruption. There was a time that regular people did not have books, but they still learned. And I'm saying that very tongue-in-cheek. But there was a time that we didn't have books readily available. Yes, there was a time that 100% of grade 4 learners did not read, never mind read with meaning. But we advanced and we put knowledge into people. The steam engine, love the story about the steam engine. 1 degree is the difference between a hot boiling kettle, a hot water kettle, and steam that moves an engine. 1 degree, just that extra. So the steam moved us. Electricity, light bulbs. We saw Edison there. The guy saying, nah, not a good idea. Internal combustion engine, everything that we've been using, that was a huge disruption. And what did they all buy? Time. The car didn't bring us just luxury. It made the travel of 100 kilometers being a day long on a horse to 2 hours long at 40 k's per hour. 2.5 hours at 40 k's per hour. The television, big disruptor, but probably not as big as the internet. And the cell phone with the battery, the mobility of, I don't know if you can see my cell phone, yeah, it flashes. And then, of course, during lockdown, the biggest disruption was the air fryer. And I hope you use yours and enjoy yours like I do mine. In 1986, 1987, I was in grade 8, grade 9, no, 9, 10, 11. We were allowed to use calculators in math for the first time. Huge disruption. Everyone prophesied that we're going to be the stupid generation because we can't do math in our heads. Let's leave that debate open. We don't have time. Coming from life in the past, AI from Hollywood, love Star Wars. These droids, R2-D2 and C-3PO, and hopefully we've got some Star Wars fans in the audience, they were heroes. They had personality, but they had information. They spoke various languages. And who remembers Buck Rogers and Twiggy? And I see all the emotions there. I think so. We grew up with that. That was there. Hollywood prophesied that artificial intelligence, different intelligence would be around. I love this one about Darth Vader. No AI there, but he was the king of Zooms in the 80s. BB-8. We see these pictures of the fourth industrial revolution, humans and machines interacting. And then who can forget KIT, Knight Industries 2000, David Hasselhoff being Knight Rider, Michael Knight. We've had these. This was around, but we didn't use it. It didn't touch our lives apart from our entertainment world. I'm not going to spend time on this, but look at the timeline of AI. Matt mentioned it in 1955, 56. The term was officially coined. Then there's this winter between the 60s and close to the 2000s. And we've been having Alexa for a while. My smartphone, which is probably, Apple came out in 2009 with the Apple iPhone 3. Unbelievable machines. And look at the acceleration that we're getting. So we're talking about Chat GPT today. And I'm going to ask Kate to get ready to join the conversation. But what I've played with it around is asking factual questions, writing a speech for my grade 6 in English. Ek sien my seun se hoof is in die sessie. We didn't use that, meneer Willie, we didn't use that, but it is so easy. Just typing in, write me a speech for grade 6 on a specific topic for 2 minutes, and it did it. Argumentative answers. I asked it a question, should some people of a certain faith be eating some types of food? And it said, but this is what this says and this is what that says. It also made mistakes. I asked a question and it got it wrong. It did some math. I tested it, or a buddy of mine tested it with testing the code that you write or asking it to write code and then building a website code. And I've even tested it in Afrikaans. Ja, ek praat so 'n bietjie Hollands Afrikaans deur mekaar, maar dit is daar. So ek het hom gevra, what is school governance? What is school governance in South Africa? And there's a very coherent answer about the work that FEDSAS does. I'm not going to spend time on it. It will be in the slide deck. But it talks about governing bodies. It talks about the public school and the national government and the partnership between, and it's got that. Very interesting. I'm going to ask Kate to join the discussion. I asked her to talk a little bit about the pros and cons of Chat GPT. And this is what Chat GPT said yesterday. I'm going to leave this on the screen, Kate. Maybe you can take us through this and just share some thoughts. Maybe just introduce yourself. Kate is from a company called Be In Touch. What is it that Be In Touch wants to accomplish?
Thanks, Riaan, and hi, everybody, on this wonderfully cool afternoon anyway in Joburg with much awaited rain. So the company that I'm co-founder of really is focused on upskilling parents and teachers on specifically helping to keep their kids, tweens and teens safer and saner online. So it's very much a focus on looking at technologies, apps, platforms, social media that our kids are accessing, and how can we help them? How can we be a part of that journey? How can we parent them as they go and live online? And in the long run, keep them safer and saner. So that's in a nutshell what Be In Touch does. Lovely to be here today talking about a very techie issue. I would say more as a parent and somebody with an interest of where this is going to go. I'm not an educator, not a teacher. But I think we've got lots of teachers online with great views that are going to come in here. So we're hoping to pull all those great thoughts and resources in some of the discussion that we're having. Basically, in its most basic version, Chat GPT, which its real full name is Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer, if you want to be Lani, it does nothing more than just access resources on the internet that are already open to the public to provide an answer to a question, basically any question. A lot of hype around it because it's free. As Matthew said, this kind of AI is not new. There is already a paid-for version called Jasper, which will cost you a cool $82 a month if you want to go and investigate that. But this is free AI, which has been launched by a company called OpenAI towards the end of last year. And it's taken what was typically the function of a chatbot previously. The real function of a chatbot was, we've all experienced those, and those automated call centers when you go on a website and the chatbot will pop up and ask how it can help you. So its function is to mimic a human conversation. Chat GPT has been taken a bit further than this, quite a bit further, in the sense that the software can now take information and text from all over the internet and compile it. As you've also hinted, Riaan, it can also write and debug computer programs. It can compose music and plays and fairy tales and, of course, write student essays, and it can answer tests for them. It can write poetry. Hence, if you're looking for a Valentine's poem for your hubby with green eyes who loves chocolate, try putting that in and see what kind of poem you're going to get out, a personalized poem. It can also write song lyrics, and it can play simple games like tic-tac-toe. That's on its version as it currently is. Lots of questions about how you access it, and it's a free resource. You could just access it through a browser. We were hoping to be able to show you all today, this afternoon, but obviously all 500 of you have already tried to access it. No, there's so much interest worldwide at the moment that when you go on the OpenAI.com website or browser, which is what you'll need to go and have a look at, and you try GPT, maybe it's going to work now because I already have an account, but at the moment what it's been doing, basically another version of saying our website is busy crashing because too many of you are trying to access it. Every time we go on, it keeps giving us a message in Shakespearean language or a poem as to why actually you'll have to try again a bit later. So this is where you'll go on to chat.openai.com and you can log in, free login, and you can have a look a little bit later and find out exactly how Chat GPT actually works. You can type in a few things and test it for yourselves. Google, by the way, has just announced as well that it's going to introduce Bard, as in, I think is that the guy the minstrel, with the jesters, and they've all got a sense of humor, these developers. So that's going to be the new rival and competition for Chat GPT. It's going to be opened up next week to what they call trusted testers, and then it's going to be made available to the public in coming weeks. So that's another one that we can all go in and have a little test of. So just to go back to your intro, Riaan, is it a nightmare? No, it's a reality, and I think we must all be wide awake. I think this has got challenges. Sure, we're going to talk about those, but it's got lots of opportunities. Why are there no learners on this? Well, because they already know all about this. They don't need to be here. It's all of us that have to be here right now to learn more.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of work together with Be in Touch. They're really powerful digital wellness and digital citizenship advocates. So thank you for the work that you guys are doing. Josh, you myself, and your team have been working hard with an AI project, or had been working hard with an AI project last year on facial recognition, so that we can save children in chat groups and that kind of thing. So, Kate, stick around. We're going to hopefully get to some questions. I want to run through it really quickly. So hopefully this is not dragging along. I'm going to share my screen again so that I can run through the elements that I prepared so that we can get to the issues of education and how we embrace it. I want to say that we're not going to touch everything today. There is no way that this rabbit hole will be, there's no way that this rabbit hole will be dealt with completely, but hopefully the discussion continues and we will have follow-up sessions, and we've got a poll at the end to figure out how to serve you best. Some things that's from the newspapers or from the news desk. CNN Business has a thing, new, fascinating and terrifying AI. Hot in the news, Chat GPT banned in schools and colleges. Here are the schools and colleges that have banned it. Schools ban Chat GPT AI tool, afraid students will cheat. I don't know that good students will suddenly become cheats just because there's a new tool in the market. Probably they are scared. Well, Matt has been saying it. We're scared of cheating in any case. Top French university bans students from using Chat GPT. And yes, that is the knee-jerk reaction because we don't know how to navigate it. I want to talk about regulation. We've got a new problem. We've got a new introduction. And I'm going to try and zoom out and zoom in quickly. There's an article on Time magazine. The creator of Chat GPT thinks it should be regulated. Duh. Don't want to be that. Ek wil nie so snaaks wees nie. Maar toe ons 'n geweer gemaak het, het ons gesê iemand moet 'n lisensie hê. When we made the car, we said you've got to have skill, age, and a license. There's a few things that we're doing in life to regulate. When something new gets introduced, it's as if there's a panic. This will not work because it's not regulated. With the school, we've got the Schools Act. With cars and motorcycles, we've got an age and a skill, 16 or 18. And don't get me started on starting a movement for kids to drive at the age of 16, like they do in other countries. That you can join that discussion at another stage. Guns, gun license, election. We don't give everyone the power to vote. We regulate our society with rules that safeguard. Even to get married, there's some hoops to jump through. And yet we're scared of something new, as if we don't have an already standard. Ons weet dat daar reëls is met sekere goed. Hoekom is ons bang vir nuwe goed? Want ons het nog nie die reëls nie. But that gives the opportunity. And this is my question. Computers, should it be 18 plus? Because I know a lot of people say, it's not for me, I'm over 65. That's not regulated, but that's how people self-impose regulation on themselves, just tongue in cheek. Second question is, will it replace teachers? Whew. Here I want to quickly stop and take a deep breath. And I want to be very sensitive to the teaching fraternity. I think you're amazing people, and I think you do amazing work. And we all trust our children with you daily. And we support you from governing body side. Say one of the biggest ingredients to successful education is the teaching fraternity. In FEDSAS, we don't like to use the word empowerment. We don't like the word because it seems like something externally must empower you. And my deduction from that is, if something externally can empower you, then something externally can disempower you. We like to talk about equipping, giving you the tools so that you use it to your benefit. And I want to say this very sensitively, but if you believe a computer will replace you, you may be right. But if you believe that you've got the human edge on the computer, you also may be right. And that's the empowering, the equipping force that I want to talk about today. We can't go without teachers in the fraternity, but we've got to know that teachers that don't embrace the future will be stuck in the past. Teachers that don't understand how to regulate and manage the space will be stuck. And that's the discussion that I hope is taking place all around schools in this sector at this point in time. What are our fears? I'm going to show you a article written by someone in Australia, and he uses the word, he's not seen so much panic in the education space in so many years. Because what are we fearing? We're fearing cheating, as if up to today, no child has ever cheated. But we police and invigilate. Ons hou toesig by toetse, like you can't believe it. Want ons is bang, iemand kry die verkeerde punte, en te veel punte, en die verkeerde balkie, en die verkeerde koord, en die verkeerde embleem. I don't know what it is, but we're over-managing the risk that puts all the focus on that. If people want to cheat, they're going to cheat. Doing homework at home has always been part of education. We've got to question before, and they'd say, but how are we going to mark essays that's being done at home? It's like, how do you do it now? Because how do you know that the parent did not write that? How do you know that Google did not write that? Chat GPT is not the introduction of the risk of cheating. So let's break that hypothesis. Plagiarism. Chat GPT does its predictive text in such a way that it passes plagiarism tests. And yes, that debate's got to open up again. Like someone said at the office the other day, 24% is research and 26% is plagiarism. So somewhere we've got to figure out how to navigate that space. The fear of kids won't do their own work. It's been there. I know it's been there in the parking lot mafia. Homework done by AI or PI, parent intelligence, critical thinking and reasoning. We can't get our kids to think critically because they just get the answer. But we test parrot style. We test memory dump. We don't test critical thinking and reasoning. So maybe that's the challenge. How do we assess? Copying and not learning. They're just writing, but they're not internalizing. Learning for the marks. That's a fear that I have. We're learning for the marks, just more marks, but possibly not for changing the world in the future. It opens up the discussion, which I want to get to before we delve slightly deeper into Chat GPT. We've been saying in FEDSAS for many years, ons dryf nou al jare, nie dissipline nie, goeie waardes, not discipline, values. En ek dink dit is die crux van hierdie gesprek vir my. Toe ek gister daaraan dink, thinking about Chat GPT and the risks and the fears and the bad use of it. It's a values discussion. What do we teach our kids? I asked earlier, why will good kids immediately become cheats? Why? Because you put versoeking, temptation in front of them? No. They should have an internal compass. So we teach integrity, respect, compassion, love, hard work, ambition, and all these good things, but then we fear that it will run away. Why are we fighting for marks? Why is it? Maybe we've created a bad system in any case, so that we need a tool to get more marks, but we're not learning. If we fear cheating, what are we doing about it now? So maybe we should have taught about values of integrity long before we started talking about examen technique, because those two run together. Exam technique and integrity got to go together. If parents are paying for speeches now from external people, what's the difference? If you play golf, you only cheat yourself if you cheat on your scorecard. And I think that's the lesson that we've got to talk about. You're just stealing from yourself. Getting the marks will bite you later if you can't do the job. And that's where the techie hits the tar. Assessment. I'm not going to spend time on this. I think we've got to rethink assessment. I'm going to spend time on an article. But these line items have been around for many years at all the education shows that I've been to, the conferences that I've been to. The article's talking about changing assessment. Does the current model give us 100% and good results? We're teaching to the test. Kids are collecting marks. There's a big thing about learning rather than the teaching or assessing. We've got to focus on the learning. And the question is, does the curriculum include the future? Most teachers from the history spoke about what happened, what is happening, but more so about what is coming. And I'm wondering, are we talking about what is coming enough? I've got a question from the audience to say, is there a DBE policy on this? No, there is not. It's so brand new. But why should there be? Shouldn't we be able to regulate and govern ourselves so that we know how to use tools of our time? You know that the Schools Act nowhere states, it doesn't say the word school hall in the regulation about parent meeting. But because we've done school hall, we think it's in the regulation. But the word school hall is not mentioned. The building is not referenced. And sometimes we want the regulation to be stronger than it is so that we don't have to make the difficult decisions. I'm coming close to the end, and I think this is where, Kate, you can possibly add. We spoke about the influence in education. Matt also mentioned it, that we've got to brace ourselves. For many years, we've had the reading, writing, and arithmetic, the 3 key R's of education, which is only 1 R. But reading, writing, and arithmetic, For many years, the Center for Technology has been saying there's additional R's coming into this. Algorithms, which is coding. Reasoning, which is the critical thinking. Something that I love is relationship. We've got to teach relationships, not just sit with our phones and not connect with each other. We've got to teach respect. We've got to teach responsibility. You're responsible for yourself. Cheating on the test won't get you anywhere. You're not going to be able to do the job. And then relevance, the one that I added this year. So last year we had 8, today we have 9. It's got to be relevant. It fits into our time. Dit moet vir nou werk. My kinders, 11 en 12, leer elke dag iets op YouTube. Dit frustreer my ouers, dit frustreer die familie, want skielik is dit 'n kwessie van YouTube is nou meer populêr. But YouTube has information that they want to learn. It's the relevant way of learning for them. So very interesting. So there's the 9 R's. Where does it leave us? I think the discussion needs to go on, but this is the words that I heard are being thrown around. 5 bullets and the 6th one that I want to end with. So it's danger. Let's fear it. Let's ban it, like in the news. Let's just forget about it, disregard it. It's going to touch a different segment in education. We don't have to worry about what happens in real life. And let's condemn it. Oh, our kids are going to be this now. This thing is going to do that. And these bad negative words make us want to fight the wave. I want to mirror this with, let's not see the danger, but see the disruption. Let's not see the fear, but embrace what we see. Let's not ban it, but regulate it smartly. Let's not disregard it, but learn from it. Let's not condemn it, but debate it, even with our learners. And we will end up surfing the wave rather than fighting the wave. Quick uses. I actually want to stop there. Feels like that's a good moment to stop, but we've got very little time left.
Riaan, can I just pop in here and just share something that the audience have shared with us on their learnings that they've done this week? If you wouldn't mind. I know it might be a bit out of line, but there's been 3 people that have just put some information on, and I thought, let me just share this with you. And I've kept their names anonymous. You should be able to see their screen now. Let's just see. Yeah. So these are 3 teachers in the audience. I presume they're teachers, the way they speak and the way they've typed in there. And they've used Chat GPT this week. So that's just 3 examples of our audience here that have used this process and have used it quite successfully. Let me just get rid of these dots here so we've got it good. Yeah, and I think that's quite important to see that amongst this audience already, there's 3 people. And dare I say this, sorry to throw it in there, but are we going to say that those teachers are cheating? And that's, I think, what we've got to talk about. So I just want to put that there. Hopefully you folks can read that and see the details, but I think there's a practical example of where we're using this process that's running through from there. Sorry to throw that in there, Riaan, but I thought some from the audience came through.
Love that. Kate, a comment from you possibly.
Riaan, yes, is that, looking at when you ask the chatbot itself, what is the pros and cons? Essentially what it tells us is, yes, I can give you answers to your questions, but they might not always be right.
Yeah.
And there are bots you can use, anti-plagiarism bots. You can go and have a look at huggingface.com for an example there. So, if we want to take that kind of approach, yes, we can check every single paper, every single essay for plagiarism. But I think what we have to really talk about is how we're adapting for this. This is a normal that's been around for a while. The big thing is that we can't replace the importance of learning critical thinking, reasoning, debate, human action and interaction in the classroom. And the chatbot cannot replace a teacher's role in that. So all it's done is just accelerated the speed of accessing information. And 100%, I think we have to turn this on its head and use it right back at it. I've seen examples, in the sort of work that I was compiling for this talk about teachers that are, for example, using the chatbot to put in a few personal information bits about different pupils, get it to write an essay about each of those pupils. They come in on a Monday morning and they have a personalized essay about themselves created by the chatbot, and then they're doing comprehensions around that. Which is not something that obviously they can fudge. They've got to be interactive. They've got to apply their mind. They've got to use all those wonderful skills that the world needs going forward. So I think that is the challenge posed to all of our educators, parents, and teachers is how do we teach and enhance all these critical skills that we're all saying that we need, that children need to learn for this future and the future jobs that are coming their way. More debate, more collaborative thinking, more solution finding. So use this information, which has speedily been accessed and put together, and how do we analyze it and use it, critique it, remembering that it's not always going to be 100% correct, because the chatbot itself is telling us there are flaws. I take information that itself might be inaccurate or even might be fake news.
Love it. Yes, so I think the world of the questions are going to grow rather than the world of the answers, and we've got to ask the right questions. I'm going to close off. We're very close to our end, and then we have a surprise for you to see who wants to possibly stay on in a different format. The live session is over, but we'll take it backstage. I want to share something, and I just put it in the let me just get there. I just put it in the chat box as well. Daar's 'n link van 'n baie goeie artikel waarmee ek graag wil eindig. But just thinking quickly, and what I've seen on Twitter in the last week, a teacher put in a pop quiz. Give me 5 questions on the life of Pablo Picasso, multiple choice with the right answer. And in 2 minutes, there's a pop quiz. There's a question and answer, so it can help teachers. A quick search. We've been doing quick search for many years, but we get 100 pages or the top 10 pages. It's a reference to the answer. This gives us a quicker way to the answer. Improve your own writing. You type an email to someone, you copy it, paste it there and say, please rewrite this more professionally or more casually. And it suddenly corrects a lot of writing, especially in English. Finding information in a non-search result fashion. It talks to you and it remembers the previous discussion. So you can continue the discussion about a thing, which is different to just being thrown with 1,000 hits on a specific topic. I have a question. People tell me to go read the book. It's not what I want now. I want just-in-time answers. If I want to know about it, give me the answer. If I want to study it, give me the book. If I need to study it for a thesis, I'd rather read the book. But my children don't want, tell me something about honesty, Dad. And I give them a 9,000-page bundle of the writings of philosophers. We need to get quick answers as well as the depth of answers. Get learners to ask questions. I think a lot of people sit in front of Chat GPT and think, I've got nothing to ask. Ek het nie 'n vraag nie. Want al hoe ek gebrainwash en geconditioneer is om antwoorde te gee. Ek moet die antwoord gee. And I think one of the biggest things that we could teach our young learners is to ask questions. My daughter came to me the other day, bragging with her now, which is possibly not right, but she said, why do we call it a bathroom if there's only a shower in it? And I'm like, you're onto something. Why do we call it a teaspoon if we use it for coffee? I'm like, you're onto something. But that's what we need to ask our kids, or get our kids to do, to ask difficult questions that bug them, rather than just ask them the question to which they need to recite the answer. And I think that's where the assessment thing is. Resources for teachers. I showed you the AI art that I did. So there's a lot of things to do. I want us to continue the debate. I've popped this in the chat box for you to read. This is the best one that I've read over the past week, and it's probably already old with so many of it being written. Adam Voigt is a former principal and the founder and CEO of Real Schools. I'm just going to take out a few things. I'm not sure I've seen more panicked reaction among the teaching fraternity. It emerges at a time, this is Australia, when literacy and numeracy results are deteriorating in Australian schools despite increased funding and teachers working longer hours. Maybe we're not doing everything right. Could be the greatest opportunity to land at our feet. Could be the greatest opportunity if we can emerge from below the decks and adjust our sails on our schools accordingly. We just aren't going to be able to set that style of assessment task anymore. Any assessment that a student completes independently at home is now going to be compromised. Of course, it always was. But finally, we may have crossed a point of no return, unable to justify trudging the tried path of delivering a lecture at school, setting a task, collecting the task, marking the task, and returning a grade that has so slowed our education progress. Love this article. Go read it and go debate it. That is my story for the day. We've got a few other Q&As that Kate answered for us, and that was shared, questions that came in beforehand. We're going to run a quick poll. Paul, if you want to take us there, we have some more time, but we usually stop after 45 minutes. And we would like to know who would like to stay on for a quick Q&A and take the discussion further. So this is like the tea break, and who wants to come back is welcome. So we're going to take a 30-second break if you want to stay in, but give us the poll. I'd like to continue now for a few questions and answers and unscripted debate. I would like to attend another session later in the week or early next week, or I'm going to pick up more information from the other platforms. So give us an idea. I will be back in about 2 minutes time to see who's left, and then we can keep the discussion going. Thanks so much. Paul, over to you.
So I definitely think it's worthwhile just to have the discussion. A little bit maybe to introduce it. Ilse and myself had a discussion this week, and I hope Ilse doesn't mind me putting her name out there in it. We said there's two things that need to be looked at. We need to look at a framework of reference. And if you're 50 or over, your framework reference is at least 40 years old. So you've got a framework of reference to work out if this thing is sensible, if the information that you're being told is sensible or not. And our kids don't have that. They're like sponges. They're just absorbing everything that gets thrown at them. So we've got to help them build that framework of reference. And then the other thing is, we've got to engage with this AI. We've got to put information in there. I tried it this week. It told me some things that I didn't think were right, and I said that information's incorrect. Please correct it. And later in the week, well, that was last week. Later in this week, it came back with different answers. A little bit more circumspect about how the answer was now. Maybe check with the original organization to see if this is still the fact. So I think we need to be responsible citizens as well, and we need to place information in there. Don't just say, "Oh, this thing's useless," and we're not going to listen to it, or it tells lies. Correct it. Let's put that information back. It won't verify. When I say it, AI won't verify straight away on the course of one person saying something different, but it will go look for resources. So the AI will go look for resources, go look for verification, and run through that process. So those are the two things that Ilse and myself briefly chatted about. We need to be responsible people. We need to kind of put our hand up and do something in the process and not be that silent citizen of the world. We need to be participatory citizens of the world. Riaan, I'll hand over to you. I don't know if Ilse's been typing madly and getting these questions online.
I don't see much. Can we open the document that we had that you mailed us this morning with the questions and comments that came in? We can just run down through them.
Let me just.
I think you.
We can do that, but let me just verbalize some of those that have come through first, and then you can just respond to them.
All right.
I'm looking to see if Ilse has left me a message to say that she's ready, but not yet. Okay, there's a question thing. I'd love to stay, but I have to go to because of load shedding. I've made a 20-question quiz for my grade 10 RT class as a pop quiz and also generated the answers. There we go. Someone also says, I think what saddens me most is the fact that I hear teachers say, how do we stop the kids? How do we catch them out? Okay, so I'll repeat that again. I think what saddens me most is the fact that I hear teachers saying, how do we stop the kids? How do we catch them out? I'm not sure how to change this mindset, as this is such an amazing new adventure for all of us, and we need to work with it, around it, and rather than against it. But there we go. Those are just two comments that have popped through.
I'd like to chat about that one. Paul, if you can get us the other paper. I'm going to open my Chat GPT and just show a few things as well. Kate, that second comment in the Q&A box there, the mindset, the fear of change. You work with kids and the risk of social media and the risk of screen time, but it's not going away by stopping it. You don't escape back to 1950 because you fear it. How do we manage so that the mindset is better for embracing change with a sense of regulation, with a sense of social contract, rather than saying, let's catch them out? It was very interesting in the COVID time, how quickly our schools became very good mask policemen. And yes, we needed to do that. But we're education first and then sanitizing. But it was very easy to be the policeman. And maybe is there something in our sector or in our society that says if there's a rule, everyone wants to police it, and because then I'm right. I don't know how to place that, but maybe your comments on the use of Snapchat and Instagram and Chat GPT and screen time. How do we manage change well?
Well, as I'm about to just go into a webinar just now on Snapchat and trying to help parents and teachers with managing that beast that has its life of its own, it's a very good question. I think that possibly this might even help to reduce screen time. Who knows? We have to spend less time on our screens to gather this information and put it together. Just as a side note, New York Times actually has just asked a whole lot of celebrities and then also asked Chat GPT the question, what are the things that we're doing today that will probably seem embarrassing to our future selves? And Chat GPT's reply was over-reliance on technology. Our over-dependence on smartphones, social media, and other digital devices will likely look outdated in a few years as new technologies emerge. So I think this is part of the refrain, obviously, that we have in the business we do, is staying connected as much as you can to kids as they go onto these new technologies that we have to try and keep up. It's very hard because this is not something that we were born with. So something we have to learn, unlike the kids that we are parenting and teaching. This is all intuitive for them. So staying in touch, talk, getting them to teach us as much as we can. I think an idea for teachers is to get learners involved in identifying what these challenges and opportunities around Chat GPT are. So debating what it can and can't do well. How do we deal with plagiarism? How do we deal with fake news? What are the ethics involved in the fact that it takes information from all over the internet? What are the strengths and weaknesses in terms of what it can write? And what are the type of things that it can't do, that only humans can do? Because there are things that will be very good at, instruction manuals and FAQs and business chatbots. But what about the things that really needs a human application and that critical thinking? And what do we carve out to keep for ourselves?
Yeah.
So,
if you've got to run and jump into your Snapchat webinar, we'll excuse you, but thank you for sharing. But yeah, it stays a challenge. And I think one of the things that is happening is the fact that suddenly we've got to have people with opinions. Because now you've got to have an opinion about something, either about ChatGPT or about the answer that ChatGPT gives you. So yeah, Kate, thanks for that. I'm going to quickly run to these. I see there's a question in the chat box, the Q&A box. Please show us again how to get to ChatGPT. I want to ask you, please go and Google search OpenAI, one word, OpenAI, ChatGPT login. And that would give you, because I can give you the answer, or I can make you think where to get the answer. But I will show you my platform. It's also a mobile app. The mobile app is very limited if it's for free. Otherwise, it's 200 Rand per week for the mobile app to work at full functionality. But let me quickly share my screen and just show you where the chat. Can you see my screen? There is my chat history, and there's a lot of it. So it's chat.openai.com, and then log in to create. I created my profile, and I started asking questions. Hier is 'n Afrikaanse vraag. Verduidelik in 3 paragrawe die verskil tussen wiskunde en wetenskap. Wiskunde is 'n formele wetenskap wat besig is met die bestudering van getalle, verhoudingspatrone en ruimtes. Wow! Wetenskap aan die ander kant is 'n interdissiplinêre veld wat besig is met die verkenning en beskrywing van die werklikheid van natuurlike werklikheid en die natuurlike fenomene daarin. Here's the 2-minute speech that my son had to write. He said he could do better, so he didn't use this one. Write a 2-minute speech for a 12-year-old on a trip back to the 1970s. It starts with, good afternoon, everyone. Today we're taking a trip back to the 1970s, a decade filled with lots of changes, as if this one doesn't have it. And it ends off with, thank you for your time, like a good redenaar speech is done. So the interesting thing is you just chat. I've had questions that I've talk to me about sports of the 1970s. So I add to the discussion. Now the feedback is immediate and we can add, and the rabbit hole just goes all deeper. Paul, I'm going to stop sharing. You had your Q&A. I think I want to deal with the first question there, and I think I know who it's from. Question number 1. You've just got to reduce the size slightly. We're going to take another 5 minutes and then we're going to land, folks. So there are many platforms that can assist with assignments, homework, etc. The question is rather, and this is a good one, can we use this for educational purposes that will improve the ability to provide countries with critical thinkers? That is what we need. Thinkers, critical thinkers more so. Fundamental thinkers. Where do we go back to the roots of it? Not just take the highlight. You know, we're in a news snippet, 30 seconds. If the news can't give it us in 30 seconds, it's too much to learn. And we devise all our truth from that 30 seconds. So we've got to go to the fundamentals and then visionary leaders. So that is not tool-based. That is mindset-based. That is not ATPs. That's educational teaching. Someone said the other day, education is already free. It's qualification that costs money. So education is very accessible. We had people asking for free education in this country. But if we can get to a point where we have access to this, learning, and then qualification costs money because someone's got to mark the test and give you a certificate. So yes, this can be used to focus on this. But I think those 3 terms are what our staff rooms have got to be talking about, even in the primary school. How do we get preschoolers to be critical thinkers, fundamental thinkers? How do we get primary school learners to be visionary leaders and critical thinkers? And then obviously high school learners, we've got to focus on the leadership, and that's where they connect with the governing body. And once again, we're saddened that no leaders are here, no learners are here. Interesting one. How do we teach learners to ask the right questions of Chat GPT? I think I mentioned this, the importance of refining the question or the instruction. I think one thing that gets me quite frustrated is the fact that when I ask kids a question, they give me what they think I asked. I ask so many learners how old they are, and they tell me in what grade they are. Hoe oud is jy? Nee, standaard 7, meneer. It's like, you can be 15 or you can be 19, but how old are you? Ek word 12 oom. They don't give the answer. They give something other than the answer because they think they're going to be, I don't know, there's a follow-up question. So I think we've got to teach learners to ask questions. With Chat GPT, you can put the question in and the debate can be about the answer. Let's ask it better because it didn't satisfy our needs. I think question 6 and 7, Paul, I looked at earlier. How do we mark compositions that are given for homework? Once again, how did we do it before? How do we do anything that comes from home? It's not Chat GPT that's the problem. It's not the parent at home that's the problem. It's a value system that needs to be based on integrity and respect for yourself and the learning, the self-work, the hard work that you want to do. We've showed you how to access the bot. There is an app available. 10 and 11, how do we address issues of plagiarism and IP with the use of Chat GPT? I don't know. There's a plagiarism council. There's an academical institution-wide basis for that. And like I said earlier, my understanding is if you write a textbook, you can use 24% from other works, and that is good reference and good research. If it's 26%, it's theft. Yeah.
Riaan, just to come in on this one, this came from someone that I know who is an academic at the University of KZN. So I asked them back, I said, what is the UKZN doing about this process? What is the thought process there? And she said, the debate is going to start in earnest tomorrow morning. So I think that's what we want. We want people to have a look at it and see, maybe the term plagiarism is no longer going to be a term that we use anymore, folks. It might be something that we throw out the door. That might be the case.
Well, I'm not saying that, but the debate is going to start. But we've got to figure out a way to navigate and say, we want collaboration. When I was in school, I got, in those days we still had corporal punishment. I got punished, is that the word, for 2 things. My hair was too long. Teachers, you made a big mistake. and talking in class. I don't know, some people say I've got more words than others, but I loved collaborating with my friends. What are you doing here? What are you doing here? It's one of the fundamental C's of the 4 C's of the 21st century skills. But if I hear something and I respond to it and we build more truth or facts because we're talking together, whose truth is it? Because you asked me the question and I answered and you came back with a better reply and then I came back with a better reply. So it's a sense of we didn't steal from each other, but we built more truth together or more answer together. So that's a difficult one. And I don't have the answer yet, and we'll see how the academics respond to that. How do you cite the information accessed from Chat GPT? We don't know the algorithms behind it. I've got no idea on the answers of some of these questions. And hence our answer or our poll that we said, we'll discuss this further. We'll have another debate or two about it. We've shared some information and hopefully, asseblief, moenie na hierdie webinar huis toe gaan en sê hierdie is te grys, let's not work with this. Gaan hê die moeilike gesprek. Go have those difficult discussions. SGB members, you've got to open this discussion. It's your kids, if you're a parent member that's in the school, whom are being branded as immediate cheats. And I'm saying that because there's a tool out there. I know my kids are not going to cheat, but I've got to regulate them. I've got to teach them. There's a teaching opportunity. SMT's principles, there's a difficult discussion here. I spoke to someone the other day, posted it on his LinkedIn. He said within a week of hearing about ChatGPT, he saved 8 hours, and he's an accountant. So I'm an accountant or ex-accountant. I think our jobs are under pressure. He saved 8 hours in 1 week while using ChatGPT for Q&A in his job. That's a day. That's 20% of the week being more efficient on stuff that only he can do. So that's the interesting one. Ladies and gents,
there's just one comment I just want to throw in with regards to plagiarism, and I'm not going to put my opinion out there, but someone did type in quite a lengthy detail, so I think we owe them a response on it. Anthropic is an AI research outfit founded by former OpenAI LLC employees. It's developed a chatbot rival to OpenAI Chat GPT that is designed to be more attuned to the safety and legal issues than its competitor. Founded by the former researchers of Google, it is also working on chatbots. And then talking about the implementation of AI into education, shifting the value of obtaining and retaining knowledge to the application of knowledge in a more effective way rather than reiterating the present knowledge. So there are those processes out there. There's going to be a lot of competition amongst the big IT people. We've already seen the game has been ramped up. Watch this space is the easy way to say it. And then Kate has also just dropped in the chat box. There are anti-plagiarism bots. Check huggingface.com. So that's me from my side. I'll give the final word for you and Kate to finish off.
Yeah, Kate, thank you so much for joining us today. It was short notice. Thank you for Matthew for doing the video last night. It was such short notice that he couldn't join. We will definitely have this discussion further. And thank you for all the audience joining, and more than 100 people still staying around for this interesting chat. Sorry we took longer, but we gave you the option to opt out. But yes, it's just such a deep discussion. We'll be on YouTube and on Facebook and all the social media platforms with more. And the next Tech Magazine will obviously include quite a little bit of this. Go Google this, go search for some more bots, just go find what's trending on Twitter, and you see ChatGPT and you see all the other AI. It's not just ChatGPT, it's AI and machine learning. That's the collective name that we've got to understand. So yeah, thank you for joining us. Paul, thanks for hosting, and everyone in the background. Kate, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Lovely to start this conversation.
Take care, guys. Go well. Goed gaan met julle.